Hi everyone, my name is Reuben from Singapore FinTech Association. Good to see everyone here today. And thanks for being there, taking the next 20-25 minutes of your time to listen to me. I guess since we are relatively cozy today, if you guys are okay, I would suggest maybe I will step down, I'll just walk among yourself and let's make it more interactive. I mean, look guys, you guys had the whole day of sitting there and listening to messages. What I want to do next is probably, I do have some slides going on, but I think we can, since it's a cozy setup, what I would suggest is that probably let's make it more interactive. If you have any questions, pop it up. If there's anything like that you disagree with me or you want to add on to what I'm sharing, please go ahead, because I think we are in a space of experts here. I'm sure everyone can contribute in the same way as I do. So let me just come right down. So first and foremost, let me just do a quick poll first, ladies and gentlemen. I'm sorry, this is the first time. If this is your first time seeing a session where your speaker walks around yourself, well, I'm glad it's your first time then. Right, so ladies and gentlemen, just help me understand this part first. I want to get a quick poll on the audience. How many of you here are from the banking sector? Bankers. How many of you here from tech space? How many of you here from traditional 3-5, just basically not tech, not banking, non-financial? No, all good. Okay, how many of you are familiar with FinTech? You guys heard of FinTech, been in FinTech, used FinTech, etc. How many of your banks are working in FinTech at the current moment? All right, fantastic. So I'm speaking to believers here. So help me make this interactive. I think what would be useful is the next 20 minutes, we can have some takeaway. I share some of my points. You can let me know what you think, so that you can walk away with with more enriched notion from everybody else. Okay. The topic today is really talking about how FinTech as a gateway to innovation. But I think one thing that I want to pull us a bit back is that it's not just always about FinTech. I think primarily FinTech is a result. It's really a fruition of a lot more base technology that has been successful over the time, a lot of new developments. And I thought that at this point in time, I would like to take that chance to call out. And the reason why I'm saying that is because from your position, from what you are doing here, it's not just only observing what are the trends that you see in FinTech or what are some of the new things that's coming up, but going back to the base of the technology that built FinTech that will give you an insight further as to what are the potential trends or what are the even newer things that your institution, your banks can even think of. And also because if I take another step back, because this is BFSI, so I'm sure a lot of you are from the banking sector. Before I go into this, and also coming back to the notion of how banks or how financial institutions work with FinTechs, there are quite a few differences. You know, some banks are more advanced, where they not just only they want to work with FinTech, they even have a specific department or division set up to engage FinTech or engage new technology. They even set up a new horizontal one that work with different BUs, you know, whether it's transactional banking, retail banking, private banking, and cut across. They even have a VC arm, a venture arm. Some of them even spin off into accelerators. I won't go into details, but you guys will have some ideas there. So everyone has a different journey, and I think probably through this conversation, I hope to also have a better sense of your journey and see how we can work on that together. On this part, I want to take a step back, as I shared earlier. What I'm going to do today, right now, is that to share with you on how I feel that how FinTech is a gateway to innovation. What are some of the reasons? What are some of the current trends? What could be the challenges? What are the opportunities? And then, of course, we'll try to summarize all these things up. As I mentioned, take a step back, looking at this, it is only, a lot of things are only possible right now because of the base technology that's improved right now. So a lot of things, some of the things I highlighted there, I'm sure this is not comprehensive. For those who are techies here, you know better than I do. But I want to give credit to this base technology. So we are looking at 5G, or even now looking into 6G. These are important development because the speed and how information is being passed through your communication, your sets, will play a part in how you capture the new black gold or the new gold. And in that sense, it will then transform the way you develop your product, you cascade down your services, the way you distribute them. So these are really some of the key things that sometimes we tend to neglect. We are blinded by the diamond shimmering and stuff like that. But these are hardcore technology at the back that's important. So 5G, mobile handset and chips. Our handsets is really the real reason where we are today. If you back then you're still holding on to a candy bar phone, I was just talking to my dad the other day, and we were talking about the Hong Kong, all the Triad shows. They had this big phone that's like a water bottle after a while. Those days from where we are now with the handset is a flip phone. That whole thing revolutionized everything else that you see. As we are all screaming about Pay Now or screaming about, wallets, Alipay or Ali or Super App, it would not be possible if not for the handset. So what is important is also to monitor what is the going forward, what are the key things that will be the conduit between your consumers. So I'm assuming you're a B2C space or you're a B2B2C space. You then need to observe the technology and the equipment, the trends that is actually engaging, touching your life directly. Because Facebook can come and probably to some extent, some people say, God, I use Facebook, people laugh at me and say, you're uncle, nobody uses Facebook nowadays. So then of course then you have your other YouTubes and then now you have your TikTok. Mark my words, you and I all know there will be newer platforms that are coming up. There will be newer platforms. But probably, your Apple and your Samsungs are here to stay. Probably. I'm not saying that that's absolutely true, but what I'm trying to bring across here is that we sometimes tend to neglect hardware, and we are so excited about softwares. But the development in the hardwares also play a part in your innovation because those are the ones that cuts through the noise and interact with you directly. So how your mobile sets develop going forward. I mean, we all seen slides before where, you have a calendar, you have an old landline phone, you have a camera, and then all encompassed into one thing called cell phone. Am I correct? All seen the slides before. That's your innovation. But what I'm saying is that how this equipment innovate in future will affect your FinTech, will affect your products, will affect your solution, how you distribute that. So I want to call that out. Language, I mean computing language, last time you have to, there's only C++ and all the other languages. Right now, it's all getting more and more simplified. And that's a very important part. As it gets more simplified, it makes coding easier, it makes coding more exciting, it actually brings more coders into the picture. And then with all this, now with all some of the bigger tech firms hiring and then sometimes retrenching and then this whole process going on, there could be a new wave of solution, there could be a new wave of technology solutions coming up because these guys who have been absorbed into this culture decide to say, hey, look, I got some brand new idea, let me just try something out since Google or whatever is stifling. Sorry, there's anyone for Google here, but it could be, stifling, I can't do it, so I want to try it out here. So languages, computing language and how now it has been accessible. My son, I have 2 boys, by the way, 11 and 9. My elder son is going to try Python next month. So it really just goes to show how easy it is. And can you imagine that trend that will lead to the next 10 years, 15 years down the new wave of solution and come back. So these are important things that I want to call out when you say gateway to the innovation. API is not new, but the recent developments in API bridges, makes a lot of things possible. Makes whatever you talk about open banking or anything that you talk about right now, whether system to system integrating, it's all down to API. So that little thing there gels everything. It's really like your glue that put things together. And of course, last but not least, this is also a very, very important part, big data, AI. With a lot more new, so it is really a cycle here. And this cycle is very, very important to watch out for because you can have all your algorithms out there, but ultimately, whatever algorithms have, it has to be fed in by your data. It's just like you can have the best Ferrari, Lamborghini out there in the world, but you have no fuel, you got no battery, you just can't move. You just be a display piece. Okay? So data is really absolutely important. I know everyone here knows better than I do, but I just want to call it out here with AI. So AI is going to come in big ways. ChatGPT is something that when it comes out, everyone is rah about it. But for practitioners who have been in the AI space for some time, it didn't shock them. In fact, to some extent, it's overdue. What took you so long? And interestingly, it's not the algo. The algo has been there and they're just refining it. What took them the 6 to 7 years or that $1 billion, $2 billion investment for Elon Musk and all the other investors is the very fact that they need to clean up your data engineer, your data scientist. There's a lot of this big thing out there that they have to clean up, churn it, tag it, do it in the right way in order for the system to make sense of it. And a lot of testing. And to get those kind of things at the back, it's not the algo or the AI, it's that data. And I just want to spend some time raving about that and bringing that across because sometimes we kind of miss that out. So then that is where you in the business setting, as you wear your business hat, your commercial hat, ask yourself as you observe, as you look around, what are some of the data points that's interesting to you? What are the things that you think that makes a difference? Your market knowledge. And then capturing those points, putting in a system will make a very big difference to your business. But AI, big data, is really the thing to look out for. Generative AI is the technology has always been there. And while ChatGPT is now helming, everyone's excited, there are a lot more other free AI software out there that can do a lot of magical things, including natural language processing, including making your words into a picture. In fact, if I'm not wrong, there was recently a photo competition by Sony or something like that, and it was an AI-generated picture that won first prize. So the impact, the use cases are just only surfacing, but it's really down to your imagination. And that's a beautiful thing. And I think the technology, as I mentioned, combining those things above, it will just make it more and more easy. Important thing is, these are really things that causes what we talk about FinTech solutions. Because a lot of FinTechs are solving pain points, using this technology and blocks to put it together. Especially if you're in a B2C, your handsets and things that makes a big difference. Now, what is so exciting about FinTech is I want to elaborate on finance. To all my bankers here in the house, congratulations, I love you guys. Because you guys touch across the whole value chain. Not many businesses have that privilege. So for example, if you're in supply chain, so let's say you're in agriculture, you talk about from a seed, you develop a new seedlings, you come up with new DNA, non-GMO kind of plant, all the way to harvesting, then from a co-op, come inside, bring everything together. I can go on and on, it's a whole supply chain. And then I can go on to the next about real estate. I can go on to construction. I can go on to trading, mining, anything you talk about. But you realize that what cuts across all these things is finance. Your financing, your secondary markets, your hedging. You see? So because the moment you touch cross-border, you have Forex. The moment you talk about international business, you have treasury. You talk about taxes. And you talk about lending. That's the most important. Without your trade finance, without your money, the world can't move. So what's important about FinTech is that because you have that capability to touch us across, you literally bless all the other sectors out there, that it makes your FinTech solutions cutting through everyone. And that's really the exciting part. So a case in point right now, if you look at IMDA, which is, for those who are not familiar, it's one of the government agencies that looks at IT and all the tech matters. They are coming out with trade trust. So trade trust is really using blockchain to tap into trade finance. So for those who are more familiar than me, thank you. I hope if you can share more, I appreciate that. But what's important is that really these are all things that is happening, and why are you touching that space is because you're looking at trade finance. Again, finance. IMDA, which is a IT tech agency, finance coming together. It just shows that finance is really, all road leads to Rome? No, all road leads to bank. Okay, so at the end of the day, what is important is that when it comes to sustainability and all the other topics, to all the banks out there, you play a very important role as well to guide this. And that's why in Monetary Authority of Singapore, MAS, our regulator, is recently launched a lot of new series of sustainability measures. I'm getting ahead of myself, but what I'm just trying to say is that finance is an important sector, and that makes FinTech the gateway to innovation. Just coming back to the topic here. Now, what FinTech changes? I guess this is something that, these are a lot of things that probably you guys are really familiar with. I just want to probably repackage it in a way so that we can consume this information. So what I have on the top left corner, it was supposed to be a picture where I'm very sure many of you have come across before. You have a bank or a financial institution in the middle, and then you've got different FinTechs all around it. So it kind of represents that FinTech has now provided services and solutions that what a bank can do. So technically speaking, any FinTech can be a bank now, with the fact that probably you don't have a banking license. And that will probably mark one of the differences. But all that said and done, I want to say this out loud. FinTech is not here to replace bank. It's not here to replace bank. I think FinTech is here to supplement, it's here to add on, it's here to enhance. Okay, so it's not here to replace. So I would like us to, for our audience for today, let's have that mindset and see how we can work with FinTech to improve your business, whether it's internal or external. And I kind of call it out there right now. Because if you look at your internal, how a bank or FI work with FinTech in an internal basis is how do I make myself cheaper, better, faster, safer. We all heard the first three parts, cheaper, faster, better. But the last part I want to call out is safer. Okay, so how you work with, and FinTech provide those kind of solutions that supports these things. So from a RegTech perspective, and how you look at compliance, your 𝐄𝐝𝐢𝐨, AML functions, there are a lot of RegTech that can support that, especially with your different databases, especially in many jurisdictions where you probably need to work with more than one RegTech solution because of different country nuances, skin color, skin tone, language capability, etc., etc. And then, of course, then we talk about capital markets because there are a lot of FinTech that provide support to your capital market solutions, whether is it as a software as a service, or whether it help you look at your Forex, or help you to have zero latency when it comes to trading. These are all things to enhance your performance. And, of course, we have cybersecurity. Cybersecurity, I couldn't emphasize more how important it is. And that's why more and more of your organization has CISO. And looking at external is something that I want to give a shout and call out. And I'm seeing a lot of mature big banks now going into that. I'm very, very excited about this one. How banks, so if I were to, sorry, I keep going about bank, but it's really FI in general, or large organization. I'm assuming everyone here is from a large organization. What you can see the difference between FinTech and large FI is, to some extent, let me just call out some of these salient points. One is the agility. FinTech, even if they are up to a certain size, even if they are, say, a 1,000-man team, they are still pretty agile. It's in their DNA. So they are agile. And as compared to a larger FI, to some extent, sometimes making decisions is a bit tougher. Let's say, for example, even if you're an MD, or let's say you're an SVP, and you spot, oh gosh, that's a fantastic idea, I spot an opportunity, I want to do something about it right now. You go inside to your meeting room, you talk to your MD, talk to your ED, whoever you talk to, and then you pitch. Have you spoken to this guy? Have you spoken to the compliance team? Have you spoken to this guy? Have you spoken to this guy? Now put everything together, give me a paper, do a P&L, now show me all your forecasts. Okay, let's bring it to the board. Then from the board, then do you have your different decision-making panel? You have A and B and C depending on the volume or the trade value. Look, by the time this happens, some FinTech out there will pick it up and run with it already. Okay? So, in a sense, FinTech, and also because FinTech is smaller, agile, using tech-based as a solution, they tend to have lower acquisition costs. And that's very important because some of the markets in the past that was almost impossible for you, or you feel that there was an opportunity but you couldn't do it because you couldn't justify your acquisition costs. That is where collaborating with a FinTech or relevant FinTech will help you. Okay? Because then you realize there is a complementary there. More importantly, this kind of collaboration tends to be easier in organizations like big ones because it doesn't touch your core systems, your legacy systems. So once you go to that, then of course there's a lot of compliance and a lot of issues at stake. But nevertheless, I want to call out external as a new possibility. The term that we call is extended financing. Extended. So you will hear two terms I'll be using, embedded and extended. Embedded is where how financial transaction is now being absorbed into it, which is a very powerful trend. I can go on later on. But extended financing is something I want to call out for banks, where now it's really down to your creativity. What can you do to work partner FinTech to reach out to new solutions? I'll give you an example. Buy now, pay later. So how many of you here are not familiar with buy now, pay later? All familiar. How many of you have not used buy now, pay later before? Okay. I have not used before, but yet we service members of Buy Now Pay Later. So I just want to say that Buy Now Pay Later is a very, very interesting solution out there. Mindful of time, I will not go into that. But what I'm trying to say is that Buy Now Pay Later, you see more and more global providers, not just only Klarna, even in Singapore, we have 7 of them. A lot of them are actually working with banks now to partner, and then with the back end, with MasterCard, Visa, and different rails, to come up with newer solutions or a longer term of servicing your clients. Some of these are trade secret. I'm not confident in going into details, but what I'm trying to say is that Buy Now Pay Later is no longer just a Buy Now Pay Later company providing a solution. FIs are coming on board. And instead of you going to my credit card team, going to my retail consumer banking team and come up with new product, no. Cut the chase. I work with a supplier. I work with someone called Buy Now Pay Later, and boom, and here I go, run, start making revenue already. So imagine if you come back to the terminology of inclusive financing. You're talking about new folks out there who are not familiar with the banking services. I know Singapore is not a good example because we have a small population and it's relatively easy to get a banking account. But in the likes of your Indonesia, 10,000 island archipelago, Philippines, 8,000 island archipelago, you're looking at other countries, any other country you can think of outside Singapore. Then you realize that, and there are many of them who are unbanked, but not bank unworthy. They are unbanked, but not bank unworthy. A lot of farmers are holding on to stash of cash, right? So how do you then use them? How do you then get them? So of course, I talked about the earlier stuff about technology, about the hardware and the software, etc., etc. And then after you do all that, you realize, shucks, this is not my core business. Am I really going to roll up my sleeve and go to some rural farm and then start saying, hey guys, I'm an SVP in the bank, please work with me. Let me open a bank account for you. You're not going to do that. Right, so that is where FinTech and some solution will come in very handy to support you, and that's why it is a form of innovation to help you get more people into your fold. Okay, then I'll talk about that's so early on those I talk about are B2B, and of course the important part called supply chain financing. There is a lot of opportunity in supply chain financing. Vendors, your customers, your layer 2, layer 3, layer 4, layer 5 vendors always suffer because of cash flow. I've seen a lot of good companies with very good account receivable, very good AR, but couldn't get money. It could be 60 days, 90 days, some of them 120 days, some of them become bad debt, which is very sayang, in our terms, very, very poor thing, very, very wasted. So how could I then factor those into? And of course, they are factoring. Factoring service has been here for a long time. But how can you then use technology? How can you then use alternative information? Come back to big data again. Use alternative information for you to generate and make a better credit assessment, credit-worthy checks there. And then as a result, release more funds, release more liquidity. Okay? So then B2B, I have B2C and B2B2C. So B2B2C is what I mentioned as embedded finance. Embedded finance, if I were to use it in my terms, what it's saying is that a lot of FinTech out there now are providing solutions that are for consumers, but it's not meant for consumers. It's meant for the Bs to reach out to the Cs. So a case in point, for example, loyalty marketing. I personally am sensing that there will be a big shift in loyalty marketing going forward. I'm already seeing some results here I can share in a while's time. But I feel that, so B2B2C are really a situation where more and more people want to get into the loyalty bandwagon. If you look at hospitality industry, for a start, all your big brands are moving towards that. Nobody cares about buying asset anymore. Long time ago, all your Hyatts and your Marriotts and all these companies own real estate, own buildings, right? And then after I slapped my brand and then they start to transform into service. They start to transform into franchising, into sharing my software, my soft skills. And then now they move into loyalty marketing. All your Marriott Bonvoy and Shangri-La Golden Circles, all these things that you talk about, these are not the franchisees. These are their own proprietary. And why are they doing that? Information is gold. I get to know you or me, Reuben Lim, where you stay, what do you stay, what kind of room you like, who are you traveling, your wife, your kids. Today you bring one wife and two kids, you get a family. Hey, next day you only book one couple room. Hey, what are you up to? So it's things like this that end up, and that using their network that they have in 100 countries, 192 countries in the world, and you traveling around to tap into all this. Okay, so again, I know I'm a bit all over the place, but what I'm trying to call out is that there are all these trends out there. So B2B2C is also an important space that you look out for embedded finance, which can come in the form of embedded investment, embedded lending, embedded payments, embedded insurance. And these are just some examples only. Okay, so it transforms the way you interact with your financial products and services. It makes it convenient, cheaper, more affordable, more accessible. That's a key word. Inclusive financing, we talk about banking using a mobile wallet. I'm sure right now all of us here have a few different wallets here. So not only your own physical wallet, you have your mobile wallets, you have then for Singaporeans, we have our government rail PayNow wallet. We also have our Grab wallet, SQ, even Singapore and has a Chris Plus wallet. Okay, so why is everyone going to that? We'll have another conversation on that later on. And then of course you have the next thing called peer-to-peer lending, crowdfunding, robo-advisories. These are also very exciting spaces because for someone like me who's an idiot in investment, I have to confess, I put my money in Singapore Stock Exchange. Right now, my retail equity sucks. I'm still in black. I'm still in red. I'm still losing money. And to think that I'm Reuben, CEO of FinTech, I'm telling you, sorry guys, I suck at investing. So what else can I put my money then? Probably I put it in savings account. I probably go to insurance company, buy some investment-linked products, and what else can I do there? And I suck at stock trading. What else can I do? Buy Temasek bonds, or what's not, government bonds. So robo-advisors and things like that are technology coming up. So not just you have the base technology, you see a need, you get the necessary licensing, and then you start to come up with new solutions to bring everyone on board. Inclusive financing is not just only about getting people without bank account to a bank account. It's about giving consumers like yourself and myself more solutions, more ways to interact with the financial sector. Why? If I'm not an AI, I'm not an accurate investor, does it mean that I will not be able to get my hands on some of the bonds, some of the more complicated instruments? And probably so, because it's not safe, because I don't know what I'm looking at. You give me a few ratios and I lost the plot. Okay? So that's where robo-advisors like the Wives, the Stashaway, the Endowers start to coming together, bring your money together, make it easy for you. Just want to find out your risk profile, and then from there I will figure it out and I'll help you invest your money. And some of these guys are not small. Okay, no, notwithstanding, they're looking at individual consumer like you and I putting money, 10,000, 5,000. Right now, their asset under management is easily $1 to $2 billion already, easily, coming from crowdsourcing. Okay, and of course, I mentioned earlier, lending, investment, insurance payout. I got many examples, but mindful of time, just in case you guys are tired, I will not. But we can talk about it later on. Now, trends and challenges. So while I have led you to the fact that first, what's innovation, and then we talk about what is FinTech as a gateway to the innovation. I just want to, this is my second last slide, and my last slide is actually very simple. It's just a summary, okay? So bear with me, we are coming towards the end. I just want to call out what are some of the things you look at when it comes to trends and challenges, okay? FinTech, tech or financial is in a highly regulated space. And it gets complicated because some of you who are international businesses, you know that every country you go to, there are different jurisdictions, different laws, different requirements, etc., etc. So understanding the regulation, ever-changing regulation is important. Regulation is always playing catch-up. We need to accept that. And because of that, you need to work closely with your regulator. And why is it playing catch-up? Because you cannot regulate what you do not know. I hate it when people always tell me, hey, Reuben, be careful. And I'm like, be careful of what? Just be careful. But be careful of what? You don't know what to be careful of until I tell you what to be careful of. Is it the rocky roads ahead? Is it the potholes? Is it the weather? Is it going to rain? Same thing as regulation. To be fair to the regulators out there, they are always trying to understand, but it's really not in their DNA, especially your SEC, your Security Commissions. It's not in their DNA. Just look at all the cases that you guys are following right now, all the media you're following right now in US on how they are assessing crypto. I'm telling you, sometimes I'm tickled. I don't know how much of this they have studied or read up before they can even give you the assessment and make those statements. But I guess to some extent, even themselves are also trying to figure out what is cryptocurrency. Is it really a securities token? Is it a utility token? Is it a payments token? Is it an ownership? How do I deal with it? Is it a hybrid? What do you do? So those are really challenges that regulators face. So this will be one of the issues there. Open banking is one of the big movements that you see in European market, Australia market, to some extent US market as well. So these are some of the things that will come in that will then through APIs and then ensure that everyone has a more equal or opportune way to access banking services. And one thing that open banking wants to call out is that ownership of data. So you and I own our data. We have the right, we have the ability to then share with anyone we want to share to get access to the products that we want to. Personal data, GDPR, PDPA, these are ever ongoing. And then now you combine that with responsible AI. I spoke about AI earlier. AI, it's scary because what happens is that every bank, as far as I know, every financial institution has easily from 20 to up to 200 to 300 AI systems. Okay? And these are a very powerful system because if your volumes are big, there's no way your credit officer is going to go through a case one by one. So a lot of times you just run it through AI systems. Responsible AI is very important because you will realize that sometimes you lose certain business or the results has caused certain biasness. So for example, this bank, for some reason, they always not dispense loan to people with family name Lim. I'm Lim. They don't like me. They don't like Lim. Somehow, anyone with family name Lim, you don't get the grant. You don't get the loan. Or let's say, for example, in US, if you're black, I'm sorry if it's sensitive. Just want to share certain issues here. So let's say if you're black, sometimes because of biasness, you don't get the loan. And it's not because the credit officer purposely don't like you. It's they run it through systems. All right. So there are certain biasness. How do you become responsible to ensure to get you the results that you really want to check? Because is skin tone really the reason why your credit score is not good? Or what is the real basis behind credit scoring? And that's just only one example. Okay, so personal data link up to responsible AI, the digital assets. Ladies and gentlemen, how many of you here have bought a crypto before? 1, 2, a few numbers. And I hope you guys are millionaire by now. Nah, okay, maybe that's why you're still here. Okay, if not, you'll be on your yacht. So with the crypto, crypto is just one form of a digital asset. There are many forms. Okay, so again, mindful of time, I will not go into details. But what I'm trying to say is that look out for digital asset, especially what we call asset tokenization. Asset tokenization through blockchain, whether it's public or private chain. You look at your CBDC. I'm again all over the place, but it all comes back to a certain technology, all comes back to a certain linkages here. But digital assets will be very powerful because it's one of the ways that it will transform the way we consume more services. And digital asset can even come down to a token of your identity. So when you talk about open banking, then how do we then cascade down to a token of that is Reuben Lim, my identity, and all the information that tags along with it? And of course, AML. AML is one of the things that we talk about in regulation, but AML, CFT, money laundering, these are all very real issues as now with technology, with omnibus regulations coming in. These things will always be, I wouldn't really call it a roadblock or a barrier to FinTech as a gateway to innovation, but it's a necessary evil because you and I want to make sure that our money is safe. It will be, I mean, if any of you have lost money with FTX implosion, this is exactly one reason why these things are important. Okay, and then I talk about active central bank participation. I think I have not seen central banks so active in a long while. You know, so for some of you who are in the banking space for more than 20, 30 years, central bank has always been very passive until something happens, until, I don't know, SVB, then central bank comes in and saves the day, you know, or you have situations where it's always solving some things. But CBDC has been a situation where central banks are proactive. They are coming out, embracing technology, and want to do something together to create a new paradigm, new shift. Okay, so these are just and that's also a link back to digital assets because CBDC is, in a sense, a digital value, a digital token. I mentioned about responsible AI. I will not go more into it. Last but not least, under others, these are just some of the trends that we mentioned earlier. Embedded finance. I spoke about loyalty marketing. I don't know how true it is. It's just something I observed, so correct me if I'm wrong. But recently I I visited a mall, what do you call it? I went to SPH REITs mall. So SPH, I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with Singapore Press Holding here. There's a REIT in Singapore, Real Estate Investment Trust. They have a few buildings they have here, Paragon, Clementi Mall. And I noticed that they actually accept Capital Star points. I recently be corrected, because I didn't try, I just happened to see it. So this is just personal sharing. Okay, but I saw that they actually accept Capital Star points. Capital Land has this loyalty marketing program, Capital Star. It's quite a lovely app. For those who love shopping, please go and download that. It's quite magical. So yeah, there's a Capital Star points. So imagine these two REITs who are supposed to be competitors. Because as a consumer, you want to attract me to your mall and not the other footfall, right? Because you want me to spend in your shop. That said, they actually allow them to use their loyalty Capital Star points on SPH. Can anyone verify? Has anyone really seen this, or am I the one who saw that? Or maybe I'm wrong. But if anyone here knows better, I mean, please correct me. But unless I'm sharing on public forum here. But interestingly, can you imagine you can use a competitor's loyalty points in another mall? And this is what I've been talking about loyalty marketing being a trend for the past 6 months. But this is something a new development I saw, and I think there will be more and more of this going forward. You will see more and more loyalty programs mixing it up, mashing it up, you know, SIA. Now your loyalty, your KrisFlyer miles. What can you do with it? Last time only redemption. Now you can do a lot more than that. You can go shopping. And then with Kris Plus, you can earn more, you can spend more. Okay? And these things won't happen by chance. AirAsia, starting at AirAsia FinTech arm. These things won't happen by mistakes. Okay, so really embedded financing is really one of the way going forward. I mentioned about real-world asset tokenization. This is quite exciting because then in future, when it comes to fintech or any startup wanting to raise funds, raise equity, raise funds, do I really have to always go through a VC to raise it? Can I tokenize my company instead? If I have a ship, if I have a stockpile of coal, you know, with the right assurance and validation, can I then tokenize it to liquidate, to get some liquidation going forward? Or then from the liquidation, once you get a token, can I have a secondary market? Can I be hedging? Can there be more? Can there be trading and derivatives formed from there? I think with all the smart capital markets players out there, a lot of this sky's the limit. And last but not least, green. Green is not a trend. Green is not a trend. Green is real. It will affect your life, my children's life. But I guess right now, I won't go further, but there's also what I call green FinTech. So not only they provide the green bond, green solutions, green financing alternatives, but they also have green reporting. So they are also able to embed themselves into your ERPs and your software, your CRMs, to help you to get more greener, or to at least allow yourself to know better. In fact, there are a couple of solutions I came across. It's quite exciting. They managed to embed into your credit card spending. So imagine if you're a bank, then you actually have your credit card spending tagged to this software. You actually even can tell me, Reuben Lim, how's my footprint in my spending, down to that level. So those are quite exciting. Okay, any questions so far? I'm sorry, just me rattling on. I hope I haven't bored you on. It really, like I said, if a lot of these things are things that you already know. I just hope that by repackaging it into a different format, kind of drive home a new story for you so that you can take away that how FinTech is an innovation gateway. For those who like to work more at FinTech, let me know. Within SFA itself, we have 830 corporate members. In Singapore, we have about close to 1,500 FinTech companies. So there are more companies than I have out within my membership. So in summary, I just want to say that it's demand-led. FinTech is demand-led. It drives innovation. It is the next big tech because there's a lot of tech out there, but I think it's quite a big space. More importantly, it's sunrise. Whatever we are seeing now is just only the beginning. Thank you.